Consider supporting Review Tech USA on Patreon for just $1 a month. Link below in the description. Skip it up and that up. So Samsung, not just in the courtroom, has been taking shots at Apple's iPhone forever now, it feels like. I remember vividly back in 2012 when Apple dropped the iPhone 5, there was a Samsung commercial with the Galaxy S3 in it where people were standing outside of a line when people were waiting for the iPhone 5 and they were showing Galaxy S3 features that weren't on the iPhone 5. And it was well done. Like they showed like near field communication and other things you could do with the Galaxy S3 that you could not do on the iPhone 5. And it was well played and it was brilliant marketing by Apple. And they've had a couple other commercials, but they stopped taking digs at Apple for a while. Until now, there's a new commercial from Samsung taking shots at the iPhone 10. It's called Growing Up, and it is absolutely brilliant. Now, you'll see some muted footage for copyright reasons while I'm explaining what happens in the commercial. There's basically a guy who was psyched for the original iPhone, and he grew up with iPhones, hence why it's called Growing Up. But what Samsung does in this commercial is amazing because they show the shortcomings of each generation of iPhone, and then they show their phones and how their phones were always a step ahead of Apple's iPhone. For example, the commercial starts out making fun of iPhones for running out of space because Apple stuck with their base models having 16 gigabytes of storage forever. They show the guy in 2017 with his newest iPhone with a ridiculous dongle hanging out of it so he can listen to headphones and charge the phone at the same time. And then they show his girlfriend with her Samsung phone wirelessly charging. So brilliant commercial, and they take some very smart jabs at Apple, and the beauty of the commercial is that everything is true. Now, I've always loved Samsung's commercials where they show how their phones are better than iPhones. One of the ones that's kind of ironic to me, I remember from back in the day, I don't remember which commercial it specifically was. If I do find it, I'll put it in the description. If you don't see it there, I wasn't able to find it. Where they show someone with a Galaxy phone and someone with an iPhone. The Galaxy phone's battery goes low, and the guy just pulls the back off and puts new battery in. Whereas on the iPhone, you couldn't do that. And I was like, man, that's brilliant marketing. But of course, we all know Samsung went in the same direction as Apple, and now you can't remove the batteries from their phones. But this commercial from Samsung is so spot on, man. Especially now, too. Especially recently in the past few years. I said this a long time ago in one of my videos ranting about Apple, is that even though maybe Apple wasn't always first to the punch with a lot of new features, a lot of times they were ahead of the pack, but if they weren't ahead, they always refined it to the point where it was near perfection. Like I remember with the iPhone 4, they had the Retina display, and it was like one of the best looking phones of the time. And not even just talking about the display, which for its time it had an amazing display, but it looked ahead of its time aesthetically in terms of the design. And I think honestly, the iPhone 5S, even though right now technically I'm taking shots at Apple, the iPhone 5S is one of the best looking smartphones, hands down, of all time. To this day. But that's besides the point. Yes, the iPhone 5S, or SE you could say now too, is a beautiful phone, still an amazing looking phone to this day. But what I'm trying to get at is that Apple either refined things to perfection and they were always the one that led and everyone else followed, or they would be the ones who came with new features and everyone else would jump on those features. Now it's like Apple's playing catch up. If you really think about it, that commercial, that Growing Up commercial by Samsung it's not exaggerated at all. Like there are other commercials, they were all truthful, but there was one I saw where they're at a barbecue and the guy, I believe, has the S4 and they're showing him waving his hand over the phone. And it was stuff that kind of or they showed like the near field communication where you could do trade playlists by tapping your two Samsung phones together. Okay, that's cute, but that's not something that really sticks out. With this commercial, everything they showed was dead on. Samsung has beaten Apple to the punch for like the past few years, and they've been doing it right. It's not like Samsung put these features in half-assed and then Apple did them better. Samsung's been doing it right for a while. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at the iPhone 10, it's just like, hey, congratulations, Apple, you caught up to 2014. Wow. Oh boy, finally have an OLED screen. Samsung's had OLED screens now forever. I always remember back in 2010 when Steve Jobs announced the Retina display and he was making fun of OLED. Now, I will say, like I just said before, the Retina display in iPhone 4 for its time was one of the best, if not the best, smartphone display out there. But he was taking shots at OLED back then. And I remember seeing the Samsung Epic and I was like, this screen looks really good. You know, I still thought the iPhone 4 looked a little better. But my point being is that other companies have been doing what they utilized in the iPhone 10 for years. And I almost forgot to mention this. Oh my God, the most amazing thing. Whoop-de-doo, the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 8 finally have wireless charging, and they went with the standardized format, the Qi charging, which I give them kudos for that, and they have fast charging. Okay, that's great. They finally have fast charging in an iPhone, even though other companies for years have been doing fast charging. But guess what? You buy an iPhone 8 or an iPhone 10, unlike all of their competitors, even budget competitors, you have to buy a different power supply than the one that's included with the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 8 to actually utilize fast charging. The charger they give you with the phone, your $1,000 iPhone 10, does not charge the iPhone 10 with fast charging. You have to buy a separate charger after you buy a $1,000 phone to get fast charging. Oh my God. But that's Apple. That's Apple. Now, look, man, Apple has a ton of money in the bank. I'm sure the iPhone 10 will be successful. And you know what? Credit where credit's due. The phone is getting good reviews. But it's not doing anything that their competitors haven't done for ages. It's just now Apple's catching up to their competition. And I can't see them doing this forever where they don't innovate and they follow like they've been doing for the past few years and stay on top. It's still working for now, and it'll probably work for a few more years too. But if they don't become the industry leaders again, they're going to become irrelevant, man. It can't last forever. They're not making exciting products anymore. Perfect example is the iPhone 8. Basically, with the iPhone 8, they're regurgitating the same aesthetics and same design they've used since 2014 and just put newer specs in it. Anyone else in the industry did that, they would have been laughed out of the industry, but it's Apple, so people accept it. But I don't think that's going to last too much longer. This is Rich of Review Tech USA signing out. Have a good one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. And to hear more content like this, make sure to subscribe to Review Tech USA.